Ambassador Veena Sikri on the telecast with me. Ambassador Sikri, thank you for joining me on the telecast. How do you view this very sensitive situation in Gaza moving forward? We have gotten to know just a few moments ago, European countries including United Kingdom, France and Germany have come out in support of the Arab nations' reconstruction plan of Gaza, which directly opposes Trump's plan of the Middle East Riviera that he is hoping and dreaming to build in Gaza and displacing the Palestinians.
Well, I think first and foremost, we should look at the state of the ceasefire, the state of the situation, the confrontation with Hamas and Israel. The ceasefire was negotiated and began on January the 19th. And the first phase has ended with the release of 18 more hostages by Hamas and maybe around 383 prisoners, Palestinian prisoners by Israel. But now, at the end of the first phase, the entire ceasefire process, which was supposed to continue in a rolling manner, is at great jeopardy, and there's a great possibility of hostilities resuming because of course, as you said, President Trump's special envoy Adam Boehler has spoken to Hamas, and this has been objected to by Israel. But at the same time, President Trump has promised full assistance to Israel to continue with its efforts on Gaza. So we have here a problem where the Hamas is now refusing to talk anymore. In fact, the next round of negotiations between envoy Steve Witkoff have been called off with Hamas because they are refusing any continuation of the release of hostages. And President Trump has said, if you do not release the hostages, you are dead. So there's a huge problem now as to what will happen if the hostilities will move. I think talking about reconstruction of Gaza is very far removed in the future because it's in the beginning you have to get the hostilities to end. You have to get the release of hostages, and we know that for President Trump there's huge pressure. There is one very young American hostage who we have heard, 22-year-old, and there are also several hostages who have deceased and whose bodies are lying there. So it's a very, very difficult situation.
Yeah, but this ceasefire that had been achieved after months of talks that led to nothing. But finally, a ceasefire, a hostage exchange deal was negotiated. It has come to a halt. It has come to a head, and there is increased pressure from civilians in Israel as well that they want this ceasefire deal to come through.
Well, I think here you think about two big aspects. One is the Palestinian two-state solution. How do we get that? The second is the end of Hamas as a terrorist organization. Hamas is banned in USA and in many other countries of the world. It's considered a complete terrorist organization. So Hamas has to walk out of Israel, out of the Gaza Strip, has to go into exile. That is what has been talked about with Hamas. But of course, they're not agreeing to that. So the continuation of Hamas in the Gaza Strip, the continuation of the presence of Hamas as a terrorist organization. Now, this is a huge aspect, and Hamas certainly is putting up a very strong resistance to any kind of future disassociation of Hamas from its role in Gaza and other parts, and from its control of the Palestinian situation. So I think that this is a huge roadblock, and I think unless this is negotiated out of the way, unless, number one, the hostage release, which is now stopped, which is a huge problem because both for Israel and for USA, and secondly, the future of Hamas, they refuse to leave Gaza, they refuse to go into exile, they refuse to end their existence as a terrorist organization. So unless these very, very tricky issues are negotiated, there's every chance of resumption of hostilities, and Israel is receiving all these weapons from the US. So that is what is, I think, a great worry and concern for the whole world.
Right. All right. Thank you, Ambassador Sikri, for joining me on the telecast and airing your views.